Hey you guys, it's Irene Lyon here, and I'm answering another question from my Facebook group, my Healthy Nervous System Revolution Facebook group. If you are not on that group, be sure to join. I will link up the link somewhere below this video. But got some good questions and I'm answering them piece by piece through a video a piece. Nia writes, since I started to get a bit better at Christmas doing a bit of orienting, so Nia's in one of my programs, so we do a lot of activities and neurosensory exercises, one of which is orienting, being able to tune in and be more self-aware but also aware of our environment. Again, I will post some links so you can experience some of these tools. But I've been doing a bit of orienting. My food allergies are so much worse, even though I began sleeping well. Recently, there are even more ramped up as I build more body awareness with your program. I have gotten cold sores and my mucous membranes mouth burn. My body resists relaxation, so is this part of it too? So you might be wondering, what the heck? She's in your program and she's having all these signs and symptoms. Now, do not be scared by this, because as you listened when I read, her sleep is improving. Sleep is a much deeper, important piece of nervous system health than having sensations like burning mouth, cold sores, allergies, priming up a little bit. Now, you might be thinking, why would I want those things? Now, one of my senior teachers that I've learned from, her name is Kathy Kane. She practices something called somatic practice. I'll link that up as well. She said once to us, she said, when someone comes in and they have like visible symptoms like cold sores and a rash, she's like, goody, 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 so good. And I remember hearing this from her because I actually have had some really significant skin problems over my years. Obviously, I'm fine now, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But she said the reason why I'm happy when someone comes in and they say that they've been now getting rashes or cold sores, or they get these pains now that they've never felt, is because it shows that the system is changing. It shows the physiology is changing. And the thing that we don't want when we're healing is we don't want things to stay exactly the same. If they stay exactly the same, that means that the system is like literally in a hold down mode and it's not shifting. So know that when these things come up, when you're doing some really good healing work, it's of course important to monitor them and maybe get outside help, whether it's herbal or osteopathy or Chinese medicine, or sometimes even general allopathic medicine is important to help soothe the things, but also not suppress them. So what occurred to me is I was in my final years of my trauma training in somatic experiencing. I was loving the work. I was coming out of what would be called a functional freeze. So I was highly functional in my 20s and early 30s. Went to university, my brain worked. I had never had any trouble with any anxieties or depressions, no chronic fatigue. I'd had a lot of physical injuries, lots of surgeries, lots of anesthesia, lots of situations where my body had to go into a shutdown response. I also had just come out of a pretty, I'm going to say, emotionally abusive and verbally abusive marriage. Bless the heart of my ex-partner. He just didn't know. We were both caught in our own trauma cycles. I didn't know how to put up boundaries. He didn't know how to take them, or when I did, it exploded. But I had to keep a lot of stuff inside when I was with him. I also had some interesting interactions and situations in school where we had some teachers in elementary school that were pretty awful. And so as a little kid, you internalize this stuff. So as I started to heal, as I started to get more in contact with my physiology, my body, my emotions, my sensations, my environment, my skin started to break out in some really bad rashes. And they were horrible. I'm not even sure, I might share some of the pictures. I have some of them, but it was horrific. It was painful. And towards the end, I could hardly sleep. There was about 6 months where I actually couldn't sleep because I was in so much physical pain. It felt like my skin was burning to death. Luckily, I had an amazing supportive partner, Seth, who allowed me to scream and cry, and he helped me keep my skin as healthy as it could be. I had to work with some other people, some Chinese medicine that actually didn't do any good. The bulk of my work was doing pendulum frequency work. I'll post a link to someone who does that work. That kind of saved me. And towards the end, when I knew that my emotions were finally more settled, that I had unfrozen my freeze response, I actually then did dabble in and went back to a normal dermatologist. I used some cortisone cream to get the heat and the down a little bit, and slowly over the years my skin has healed and I no longer have problems with it. That all to say, in that moment when this stuff was coming out, was it scary? Absolutely. Was it frustrating? Yes, it was. I couldn't exercise the way I love to do, and I love to exercise because I couldn't sweat. It hurt. And it was painful. It was really painful. It was hard for my husband to hear me and see me in so much pain, but it had to happen. I always feel blessed that my stuff came out on the skin, just as my instructor, Kathy, loves it when someone comes in and has a rash, because at least the problem isn't inside. I often talk about one of my favorite authors, Gabor Maté. This book I've quoted in many vlogs. And if you have reactions and you know that you're suffering from chronic stress, whether it's from abuse, early childhood trauma, or just burnout due to living in this world of ours, I highly recommend this book, because in this book he talks about autoimmune conditions and conditions and cancers where we might actually not see the rash, right? Often people have stuff festering inside before they know, and then when it comes out in the form of something that's incredibly painful, often it can't be reversed. So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because Nia's question was, this stuff is coming out, you're getting cold sores, your allergies are increasing, but you're sleeping well. So that's a good thing that you're sleeping better. My advice is you need to go forward. You have to keep moving forward. And when these things pop up, to try to not fear them. Feel the fear if it comes up, but try not to attach a story to it. Try not to think, oh my God, I'm gonna have this forever and it's never gonna change. That mindset is very potent. One of the things I learned from my husband when I was going through my skin problems is, and it was really hard when it's all over your body and you feel like hell, but to try not to think of what this is going to look like in the future, not to awfulize it. You want to feel the pain, you want to feel the hell, you want to feel the anger, the sadness, the loss of time that's happening in that moment. That's fine, but as soon as we start to project, this is never going to go away, I'm going to be like this forever, what if, then we get into tricky, sticky territory. So as much as you can, as much as any of you can, if you're watching this and you have symptomology that's coming up, signs and symptoms, try to be with those symptoms, whether it's physical pain, actual things like rashes, headaches, etc. Try to be with them, feel them, and express what needs to be expressed. So if that pain could speak, if it could make a sound, if it could make a movement, what would it be? I talked about anger in a previous vlog. Is there anger? Is there some emotion that's being stored inside that isn't allowing this symptom to fully do its thing? Because we are all so different and we all have different trauma histories, different genetics, right? The skin thing happened for me because I'm genetically predisposed. I had eczema a bit when I was a kid. I did have asthma, but that completely went away. I had seasonal allergies, totally went away. I no longer have seasonal allergies. That shifted after I did my Feldenkrais work. When I got more in tune with my body, something shifted, something healed. But my father had, or has, also predisposition to skin problems. So it's in the blood, it's in the genetics, but it does not mean that it has to be your sentence, your life sentence. We can shift these things. There's something called epigenetics, which I will talk about in another video probably down the road. But our epigenetics is basically the capacity for us to shift our genetic expression based on our lifestyle choices, based on our environmental influences, and really how we connect with our body, our mind, and our physiology, and help our system not always be in a chronic stress response. I hope this was helpful to you, Nia, and to those watching and listening to this. Like I said, get this book. I'm not asked ever to promote it. It's just like the Bible, I believe, of really learning about chronic illness and the expression of these diseases that so many of us get. And then, of course, some really good tools on what to do to help heal. So if you are watching this, if you're not on my YouTube channel or on my website, head over to one of those, sign up for my channel, subscribe, sign up for my email updates, and check out what's going on in this world of mind, body, nervous system healing, and neuroplasticity, and all the stuff that we can do to help move our physical symptoms out in a way that's intelligent, smart, and safe. Take very good care, and we'll see you next time.